There's a quote that gets thrown around online that I think most people have heard at some point. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's usually attributed to a guy named Jim Rohn. And like most quotes that go viral, the truth is more complicated than the quote makes it sound. But after 20 years of watching how people actually handle their money, I think the heart of it is right. The people closest to you create a little portable atmosphere that you carry around with you all day. How they think about money becomes how you think about money. How they spend becomes how you spend. How they save, give, fight about it, ignore it, panic about it, all of that, slowly and quietly becomes your default too. You don't notice it day to day. You notice it 5 years in, 10 years in, when you look at your life and realize how much of it doesn't actually feel like your life. It feels like the average of the 5 people you've been spending time with. Today, I want to talk about that. Who's actually shaping your financial future without you realizing it, and what to do about it. My name is Kyle Blackwell. I'm a certified financial planner, and I've spent almost 2 decades sitting with families working through their money. And alongside that work, I started building something called Purpose Path, a financial stewardship program for young adults. If you've been watching this channel for a bit, you've heard me say it before. Information isn't usually the problem. People mostly know they should save more, spend less, give some, and avoid debt. The information has been available for a long time. The reason behavior doesn't change is identity, who you are, how you see yourself. And as I've thought more about that, I've realized identity isn't formed in a vacuum. Identity is formed in community. The people you walk with shape who you become, and who you become shapes how you handle money. So this video is about the layer underneath the budget, the community that's quietly building the person who's making the money decisions. Most of us have stood at a fork in the road at some point. It usually happens in high school or in college, sometimes earlier, sometimes later. To one side is a group of people you kind of admire, people who get up early, people who are serious about their faith, people who study, work hard, exercise, treat others well. You don't know them all that well yet, but you can tell joining them would be hard. You'd have to grow. You'd have to change some habits. You'd have to leave some things behind. And to the other side is a group that's easier, people you already know, people who are fun, people who don't ask much of you. That path is more comfortable. You don't really have to change anything to fit in there. Most people pick the easier path without ever consciously deciding. They just drift toward it because it's easier and the other one is hard. Now imagine 10 years go by. If you went one way, you've built a life with people who challenge you. You finish school, you're disciplined with money, your friends are still in your life because they were the kind of people who stay. You meet for breakfast every once in a while and you talk about real things. Marriages are stronger. Financial habits are stronger. You're not perfect, but you can feel the difference between you and the average 28-year-old, and the difference mostly is because of who you walked with. If you went the other way, 10 years looks different. The fun group has scattered. Some of them are still around, some aren't. You finished school eventually, maybe with more debt than you needed. The job you took wasn't the one you wanted. It was the one you needed because of the loans. The habits you built around money in your early 20s are still with you, and they aren't the ones you wish you had. Now, you're not doomed, but you can fill the gap between where you are and where you might have been. Most of the gap traces back to who you spent time with. I've watched this play out for 20 years across a lot of clients. The pattern is almost embarrassingly consistent. People settle into the average financial behavior of their 5 closest people. Not always exactly, but within a tight range. If your closest 5 people tithe and save and don't carry credit card debt, you probably will too. If your closest 5 people lease luxury cars, drink top shelf, and finance everything, you probably will too. We tell ourselves we're independent thinkers. We tell ourselves we make our own decisions. For most of us, that's mostly not true when it comes to money. Money decisions are quiet, daily, and emotional. They get shaped by the unspoken norms of the people around us, whether we realize it or not. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Iron doesn't sharpen iron unless they're touching. The relationships that shape you most are the ones with friction, the ones where you actually let people in, the ones where conversations get past the weather. If your friendships don't ever touch real things, money, struggle, faith, decisions, they probably aren't sharpening you. They're just keeping you company. Friends matter, but I want to expand the frame a little. Beyond the closest 5 people you spend time with, you also need a few specific kind of relationships in your life. I think about it as 3 positions: someone ahead of you, someone beside you, and someone behind you. Someone ahead of you is a mentor, a person 10 or 20 years further down the road and something you care about. Their wisdom can save you years of mistakes. Most young adults don't have one and don't realize how much it's costing them. Find one. Look in your church. Look in your industry. Look at your family. Cold email someone whose life you respect. You'd be surprised how many people are willing to be asked. The criteria I'd use: someone who manages money with integrity, someone who walks closely with Jesus, someone whose life you actually respect, not just admire from a distance, someone who tells the truth gently. You don't need 1,000 opinions. You just need a few wise ones. Now, someone beside you is a peer, a friend in roughly the same season of life as you who's willing to talk about real things, money included. These are the iron sharpens iron friendships. Two people walking in the same direction, holding each other accountable, calling each other out, encouraging each other without humble bragging. If you don't have one, ask God for one, then go look for them. Now, someone behind you is somebody you can pour into. Somebody 5 or 10 years younger than you who's just starting to figure things out. You probably know more than you think you do. You don't have to be an expert to be useful to someone who's 3 steps behind you. When you have somebody behind you, your own growth speeds up too. Teaching makes the lesson stick. Remember, 3 positions: ahead, beside, behind. A life with all 3 is way more steady than a life with only one. I'd be missing something big if I didn't mention family. Most of us inherited our own money mindset before we ever earned a paycheck. The narratives you grew up with about money, about rich people, about saving, about giving are louder in your head than you realize. The good news is you can be the fork in the road. You can honor where you came from while choosing a new story. Maybe your parents never tithed. You can. Maybe your family always fought about money. You can choose peace. If no one trained you, you get to be the one who starts the legacy. That's a heavy thing to take on, but it's also the most important inheritance you'll ever give. I want to be honest with somebody watching this who's going, this video isn't for me. I already picked the wrong people. Listen, you're not stuck. There's a story in the Bible about a guy named Jonah. God told him to go to one place. Guess what he did? He ran the other way, and then he got swallowed by a fish. He came back 3 days later. Then in Jonah 3, verse 1, it says this: the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. That verse hits me every time. God didn't write Jonah off. He gave him a second word, a second chance, a redirect. If you got caught up with the wrong crowd in your 20s, or married into a financial culture that doesn't match what you want, or grew up in a family that taught you the wrong things about money, God can redirect you. Not in a magic way, in the slow way, through choices, through new conversations, through new friends, through prayer for the courage to set boundaries, and through the grace to forgive what was passed to you. Start slow. Spend more time with the people who challenge you. Build a few friendships where you can talk openly about money without humble bragging. Join a group at church. Find a couple whose marriage and finances you respect and invite them to coffee. Pray before making big shifts. You don't need a massive overhaul overnight. One small course correction can change the direction of your whole life. So here's what I want you to take from this. The people closest to you are quietly shaping how you handle money, whether you notice it or not. If you want a clear picture of where you're headed financially, look at your 5. Are they sharpening you or dulling you? Are they pulling you toward generosity or toward greed? Are they making peace feel normal or chaos feel normal? Add a mentor ahead of you, add a peer beside you, and find someone behind you to pour into. And then I want you to honor the family you came from while choosing a new story if you need to. And if you've drifted, remember Jonah. The word came to him a second time. It can come to you a second time too. I wrote a book called Purpose in Every Paycheck that goes deeper into all of this. The chapter on community walks through friends, marriage, mentors, family, and what to do if you need to course correct. Links in the description. Thanks for being here. I'll see you on the next one.